chamber door, only this and nothing more. Ah, distinctly I remember it was in the bleak December, and each separate dying ember wrought its ghost upon the floor. Eagerly I wished the morrow. Vainly I had sought to borrow from my books surcease of sorrow, sorrow for the lost Lenore, for the rare and radiant maiden whom the angels name Lenore, nameless here for evermore. And the silken, sad, uncertain rustling of each purple curtain thrilled me, filled me with fantastic terrors never felt before, so that now, to still the beating of my heart, I stood repeating, "'Tis some visitor entreating entrance at my chamber door, some late visitor entreating entrance at my chamber door. This it is, and nothing more." Oh, hey VC, music lovers, and anyone else who just happened to stumble upon this video, welcome to my living room. I'm Jeff, and you are watching Tone and Grooves, a vinyl community YouTube channel. Why am I reading The Raven from the poetry of Edgar Allan Poe? Well, I fell down a vinyl rabbit hole that I had no idea would lead me here. And so here we sit. And so I invite you in for another episode of Deep in the Grooves as we explore on this dark and dreary evening in northwest Wisconsin the music of trombonist Buddy Morrow. That's what has led me here to Edgar Allan Poe. I started off contemplating what am I going to do for my next video, and I was poring over my shelves. I pondered doing the vinyl tag of 2017 and was preparing some things for that, and then decided against that. I thought, I've already done an intro video and I've already shared a lot of those things, and how I got into vinyl collecting and how old I was when I got started and what my first records were, and over some numerous videos that I've done, I've kind of shared some of those things. I think I will go back and answer some of those 20 questions from that vinyl tag, but do it in individual videos on a more in-depth level. But anyway, now I'm heading off on a bird walk. So I stumbled upon some Buddy Morrow records, and I realized I have two Buddy Morrow records called Night Train. And thought, maybe another episode of Deep in the Grooves will explore some Buddy Morrow and dive into these. I got a stereo and a mono and a couple other things. Anyway, so it started off with, let's listen to Night Train and do a little, what's the better album, what sounds better, that kind of thing. And it led me to Edgar Allan Poe. Anyway, it's kind of funny. We'll get there. I started off with these two Buddy Morrow albums. Buddy Morrow was a trombonist, most popular in the 50s. Very interesting, actually. I learned a lot about Buddy Morrow. Excuse me while I get my phone, because I'm going to pull out my research. Buddy Morrow was born, his real name, interesting, birth name was Muni Zudikoff. And he was born on February 8th, 1919 in New Haven, Connecticut, and he died September 27th, 2010, really not too long ago, in Maitland, Florida. Florida is my home state, so that was kind of interesting. He played trombone, swing, big band, that style of jazz. He played with Sharkey Bonanno, with Artie Shaw, with Tommy Dorsey, Paul Whiteman, Bob Crosby, The Tonight Show Band, as well as a number of other bands. He actually led what became, kind of the reformed version of the Tommy Dorsey Orchestra. He started doing that from beginning in 1977 until September 24th, 2010. When he led that band for the last time. He was 92 years old, I think it said. 91 years old. Had his last concert on September 27, 2010, leading the Tommy Dorsey Orchestra, and died like the next day or a couple of days later. So literally like was playing music, even played his trombone, his famous song, his most famous song, Night Train, hence the name of the two albums. At that concert, played his trombone, from what I understand, from sitting in a wheelchair. The poor guy, 90-something years old, but man, keeping at it for all those years. And I mean, he attended Juilliard. He was, what's this here? Awarded the International Trombone Association's Lifetime Achievement Award in 2009. Just kind of interesting stuff. He played with a lot of the big name, big bands in the 30s, 40s. Wasn't until the 50s when he really ran his own band and became popular or famous for his big hit song Night Train, which is really kind of a cool song. So that's a little bit about Buddy Morrow. Interesting stuff. So I did a little comparison with these two Night Train albums. One is on RCA and one is on Mercury. The RCA is mono. Oh, get a little glare there. The RCA is mono and the Mercury is stereo. This one is 1957 and the Mercury is 1959. They have different tracks. There are a few repeats. Night Train obviously is on both. One Mint Julep is on both. Hey Mrs. Jones. Those were kind of some of his big hit songs. Anyway, so a little comparison. Again, 1957 mono. Good album. A little more, I don't know, I would say just more straightforward, big band. I would say this album is marred by mediocre vocals. Frankie Lester is the vocalist on this, and there was a couple songs with like a vocal group singing. Not so great. There were some good songs on here. I mean, Night Train obviously is a great song, and I really enjoyed Some of These Days and One Mint Julep on this album. The stereo, the Mercury stereo, sounds fantastic. Really just phenomenal sound on this. Let's see here. I mean, of course it gives you all how it was recorded and whatnot. Let's see here. The Mercury stereo record has been cut with variable groove spacing and electronic groove depth control, thus producing a 2-channel disc of exceptionally wide dynamic range, reliable stylus tracking throughout the frequency range, and startling clarity and definition of instrumental timbres. And I would agree with that. This album sounds fantastic. It really does. It sounds great. Almost every song on this album was really good. Very enjoyable. From Mangoes on side 1, track 1, which is kind of a more, I would call it more of a lounge kind of feel to that, through some kind of more bluesy Rib Joint on this very bluesy song with some great blues guitar. Side 2, Night Train, great recording of that. Hey Mrs. Jones was great. Just really great songs all the way through. All instrumental, no vocals. Sounds fantastic. Really good album. I really enjoyed this one. So I got done with those, kind of doing that comparison, and the dynamic range. Did I mention that? I mean, it's no lie, this little plug here. The dynamic range on this album is really fantastic. I mean, it sounds great. Very nice album. I would say, man, if you see this one, the Mercury stereo out in the, especially if you find it in the dollar bins or the discount racks, pick it up. I mean, this is a really great big band album. I wouldn't really go for the RCA if you find that, but the Mercury, absolutely go for that. I can show the labels. I don't know. It's kind of, it's the regular black shaded dog. No, not shaded dog, but just the black RCA, and this is the black Mercury stereo label. Keep getting some blur or glare there. So, highly recommend that Mercury one. So then I was like, that was really good. What else do I have? Do I have any other Buddy Morrow records? And I do. This one here, Salute to the Fabulous Dorseys. Okay, it's on Mercury. The sound on this is great. It's a mono copy. But interesting here, the little plug. This Mercury long playing 33 1/3 RPM recording was made possible through the use of the Mercury Sound Margin Control. All that's in bold print. A technique whereby it has become possible for Mercury to produce for the record-buying public a disc of truly superior quality, especially with respect to brilliance, clarity, dynamic range, and reliable stylus tracking. And it does sound fantastic. Not as good as the stereo pressing of Night Train, but this album, Salute to the Dorseys, it does sound really good. Unfortunately, for me, and I love big band. I'm a huge big band fan. So, I've listened to a lot of big band music. For me, this was kind of run-of-the-mill stuff. And, there are a few good, really nice tracks. There Are Such Things, You're a Sweetheart, Green Eyes. A few really nice tracks kind of interspersed throughout. But overall, I would call this kind of a mediocre, just kind of run-of-the-mill big band album. The cover kind of, I don't know what's going on here. There's Buddy Morrow and these other two dudes hanging out. It looks like they're looking at sheet music, but you can't tell from what's on the cover there what that is. But I don't know. I'm not sure just what they're looking at. But whatever they're looking at, they're just getting really a big kick out of it. I don't know if it's, music or they got a centerfold back there. I don't know what's going on, but I just think that's so funny. Just the look on their faces is just having a grand old time with whatever's on that piece of paper there. That one is a Black Mercury. It's on the black. It's a mono pressing on the Black Mercury label. Like I said, somewhat run-of-the-mill with a few good tracks in there, which then I was like, what else do I have any other Buddy Morrow records in my collection? And sure enough, one more, last but certainly not least, the album that led me to the bottom of this vinyl rabbit hole, Poe for Moderns, Buddy Morrow and his orchestra. This is produced by Charles Green. Interesting album. Interesting album. Poe for Moderns. Kind of cool cover. You got a book of Edgar Allan Poe here. You got the skull here. You got, what's this bird over here? Perhaps that is the raven. And then you got these kind of, haunting ladies' eyes in the background. Kind of cool cover. Really kind of a, what is this? Every song on here has the title of an Edgar Allan Poe poem or story. None of these are written by Buddy Morrow that I can tell. They're by various people. Bernie Green, Charles Green, Ray Martin, Ralph Kessler, George Williams. I don't know, some others. Recorded in Webster Hall, New York City, 1960. All the songs, like I said, are Edgar Allan Poe titles. You got The Murders in the Rue Morgue, Annabelle Lee, The Gold Bug, A Descent into the Maelstrom, The Bells, Fall of the House of Usher, The Pit and the Pendulum, Ulalume, The Black Cat, The Raven, and The Telltale Heart. One would think that this would be like just a spooky, haunting, Halloween, horror record. It is horrific. I don't know if that's in the way that it was intended or not. This is kind of like a Bela Lugosi or a Boris Karloff movie, or a B movie from the 50s. Maybe it falls into the so bad it's good category. But I love Edgar Allan Poe. I think if Edgar Allan Poe could hear this record playing, he's probably rolling in his grave, as is H.P. Lovecraft and every other major horror writer who's no longer with us. in the last century. Anyway, I mean, actually, there are a few tracks on here that are actually on their own. Like, if you didn't know that they were supposedly tied to Edgar Allan Poe on this concept album, and you just heard them by themselves, it would be really good. I mean, The Black Cat comes to mind, which is the music that was playing at the beginning of this little video. Kind of a very James Bondish kind of sounding instrumental track. But it literally has tracks on here with the poetry being read, and it's just it's quite hilarious, in my opinion. The little blurb on the back is great. True, nervous, very, very dreadfully nervous. I had been and am, but why will you say that I am mad? Thus the chilling line that opens Edgar Allan Poe's horrifying narrative, The Telltale Heart. A line that has brought a delicious shudder to millions of readers for more than 100 years. Today, horror and fantasy are widespread commodities on the entertainment market. The Bride of Frankenstein is meeting the son of the werewolf at the neighborhood movie house. Pop tunes have honored the witch doctor or invited you to dinner with Drac. And as for the Late Late Show, yet even though robots, mummies, and 100 other varieties of professional horrors populate our daily lives, it is to the tales of Edgar Allan Poe that we turn when we wish to explore the heights and depths of spine-tingling sensations. In this album, Buddy Morrow has translated many of Poe's best-known works into musical settings for his big, flexible band. Most of these arrangements are loose-fitting interpretations that loose-fitting, emphasis on the loose, loose-fitting interpretations that try to capture the mood rather than tell the story. Tone poems. Tone poems, you might say. Two examples of Poe's verse are turned into song by RCA Victor's top vocal quintet, the Skipjacks. Another two are heard in dramatic recitations by Keith McKenna. Mr. McKenna, incidentally, teaches English in Long Island's Bellport High School and has had great success with such recitations in class. I mean, it's just hilarious. Really, really hilarious. I don't know. You've got Annabelle Lee, which is a haunting Edgar Allan Poe story. Not so haunting on this record. Take a listen.
It was many and many a year ago, in a kingdom by the sea, that a maiden there lived whom you may know by the name of Annabelle Lee. And this maiden, she lived with no other thought than to love and be loved by me.
Then you've got The Bells, which is one of my favorite Edgar Allan Poe records, or poems, Edgar Allan Poe records. One of my favorite Edgar Allan Poe poems. The alliteration and everything is fantastic. Not so fantastic as done here by the Skipjacks. Take a listen to The Bells.
Hear the sledges with the bells, silver bells. What a world of merriment their melody foretells. How they tinkle, tinkle, tinkle in the icy air of night. All the stars that oversprinkle, all the heavens seem to twinkle with a crystalline delight. Keeping time, time, time in a sort of rhythmic rhyme to the tintinnabulation that so musically wells from the bell.
And then, of course, we have The Raven, also sung by the Skipjacks. Who are the Skipjacks, you might ask? Well, they had a very popular and famous song even still today. Flintstones, meet the Flintstones. Yes, the Skipjacks did the Flintstones theme song. And here we have the Skipjacks doing The Raven. A horrific version of one of the classic poems of world literature. Take a listen.
Once upon a midnight dreary, while I pondered weak and weary over many a quaint and curious volume of forgotten lore, while I nodded nearly napping, suddenly there came a tapping as of someone gently rapping at my chamber door. 'Tis some visitor I might.
Yeah, so there we have it. Buddy Morrow, Poe for Moderns. So bad it's good? I don't know. Look forward to hearing your comments, to seeing your, drop a comment down below. Let me know what you think. Your thoughts on Buddy Morrow, on any of this music, on the series Deep in the Grooves. Chime in. I look forward to the conversation. Thank you all so much for your comments, for tuning in, for watching the videos, for your subscriptions, over 100. I'm really excited and just having a great time making the videos, and especially interacting with you all in the comments section and even outside with some of the emails that I've gotten and whatnot. Just being part of the VC in that way is fantastic, and that makes it all worthwhile. So thank you so much. Thank you for watching. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for commenting. Look forward to that. And until next time, stay in the groove.